Peter Behrens is considered to be the first modern industrial designer. His work is mostly linked to the collaboration with AEG in 1907. But let's start from the beginning. He was born in Hamburg in a Protestant family native of Schleswig-Holstein. He studied painting in his hometown and then moved to Düsseldorf and Karlsruhe between 1886 and 1889. In 1899, after marrying Lilly Kramer, he moved with her to Munich, and there he worked first as a painter, illustrator, and artisan bookbinder, gradually approaching bohemian circles and developing a deep interest in issues related to modern living. In 1899, he accepted the invitation of the Grand Duke Ernest Louis of Hesse to be one of the participants in his project of an artist's settlement. Behrens then built his own home in the colony of Darmstadt and designed every element contained therein, from furniture to furnishings. This project is considered the turning point of his career, the definitive abandonment of art and Art Nouveau currents in favor of a more sober and austere style. Furthermore, in 1907 Behrens was one of the 12 independent artists who joined the Deutsche Werkbund, founded in that year by Hermann Mathesius. Their desire was to create for industry, to contribute to the forging of a new social structure and to push towards a rehumanization of the economy, society and culture. In 1907 he got another important task. The Allgemeine Elektrizitätsgesellschaft, ANG, hired him as artistic consultant and commissioned him to create the graphic design of the company, from the logo to the advertising to the main product line. This is the first task of its kind, making Behrens the first industrial designer in history. Between 1907 and 1912 he had numerous students, the most illustrious of which are certainly Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, Charles-Édouard Generate-Gries, better known as Le Corbusier, Adolf Meyer, Jean Kramer and Walter Gropius, future director of the Bauhaus. AEG company with which Peter Behrens collaborated was founded in 1887 and quickly became one of the largest companies in the world for the production and sale of new electrical objects. The biggest challenges the company had to face were the enormous growth in demand for electrical products and above all that of creating a corporate identity. Behrens, in addition to dealing with communication and product design, also dedicated himself to the architecture of the company's factories. For example, he designed the turbine room, which gave the possibility to let more light into the building, thus lowering the costs to illuminate it during working hours. Behrens became the company's so-called art director. His idea was the simplification of the product and the variation of some aspects that make up the object. For example, the electric kettle he designed is an object created from multiple standard parts that can be replaced, such as handles. If these elements are changed with different models, it is possible to create a variety of products, lowering their costs. The same concept can be applied by changing the object's color. This philosophy is the basis of Peter Behrens' projects, and inspired future designers who still use the same concept today. This modus operandi was applied by Behrens on every size scale. In architecture, Behrens renounced the Art Nouveau decorations in favor of greater functionality, with rigorously simple, square and sober volumes, stripped of any ornament. In addition to having artistic dignity, in line with the thinking of A&G, these industrial buildings were configured as the supreme synthesis of man and machine. Behrens, however, also achieved remarkable results on a small scale. He, in fact, designed industrial objects for everyday use, posters, and advertising materials that could be used in an excellent way not only from an aesthetic point of view, but also from a functional one. The designer of the A&G company finds himself designing fans, lamps, and medical instruments. In 1891, the German state imposed charters on electrical devices, for the safety of the final user. This law gave designers the possibility to expand their products, giving them different aspects. AEG represents an incredible evolutionary leap for the time and it's still present on the market. Peter Behrens is considered the first industrial designer, because he designs primarily taking into consideration the industrial machinery that he will have to use for mass production. Before the work of this designer, the design followed more artisanal guidelines that did not include the use of industrial machinery. In addition to the collaboration with A&G in 1921, Behrens was appointed to the Düsseldorf Art Academy. In 1922 he succeeded Otto Wagner as head of the Master School of Architecture at the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. Until 1927 Behrens was director of the architectural department here. He was also awarded an honorary doctorate by the head of the Technical University in Prague. During this time the design for an administration building of the Farbwerk Hochst AG, 1920 to 1924, in Frankfurt Hochst was created. In 1925, Behrens took part in the International Arts and Crafts Exhibition in Paris. During this and the 2 following years a large travelling exhibition of his works and those of his Viennese master pupils took place, and when Ludwig Mies van der Rohe took over the direction of the Werkbund exhibition in the Weissenhofsiedlung in Stuttgart in 1927, Peter Behrens also followed his invitation to take part. In 1927, Deutsche Gasoline commissioned Behrens to design petrol pumps and filling stations in order to avoid the accusation of deforming the environment. In 1926 Peter Behrens designed New Ways, a private dwelling in Northampton, which is regarded as an early example of the international modern style. The late phase of his work in the 1930s was characterized by a concentration on urban planning tasks. Behrens was particularly active in Berlin, where such assignments were necessary due to the rapid development of the city and the problems of increasing mass transportation. This activity of Behrens included the redesign of the Alexanderplatz. During his career, Behrens designed many iconic buildings including the Mannsmann-Werk in Düsseldorf, 1911-12, the grandiose German Embassy, 1911-913, in the then Russian capital St. Petersburg, and the New Synagogue, 1928-31, in Alina, Slovakia, among others. He also designed the iconic typography of Dem Deutschen Volk inscription on the Parliament building in Berlin. Behrens died in Berlin in 1940 at the age of 71. The faculties of architecture and interior design at the University of Applied Sciences, Fachhochschule, in Düsseldorf have been dedicated to him. That's all. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you wish to see other content related to the world of design. See you next time. Bye.